What if your diet, your traditions, your cravings, even your Thanksgiving dinner, weren't really your choice? What if the food pyramid you learned in school was more marketing than science? Sugar was painted as harmless, while another nutrient took the blame for decades of health problems. Much of what you think is healthy, from breakfast cereal to low-fat yogurt, was engineered for profit, not your well-being. This is the true story of our food system. Powerful lobbies bought science and marketing so effective it shaped our culture and cravings. So, pull up a chair. Tonight, we're serving up uncomfortable truths about the food on your plate. Welcome to the dinner table. Hope you're hungry for the truth. Let's start with the food pyramid. The government's guide that told us to eat 6 to 11 servings of bread, cereal, rice, and pasta every day. But this wasn't based on solid science. It was born from a grain surplus and powerful agricultural lobbies. In the mid-20th century, America had mountains of wheat, corn, and oats. The solution? Convince the public that grains were the foundation of health. The grain industry poured millions into lobbying, embedding their products into the definition of a healthy diet. The food pyramid became a marketing brochure for big grain, not a scientific document. Enter the cereal companies: Kellogg's, General Mills, Post. They didn't just sell food, they sold the idea of the complete breakfast. Cereal became the American morning ritual, thanks to advertising, cartoon mascots, and government endorsement. Before this, breakfast was varied: eggs, meat, potatoes. But cereal companies standardized it, making processed grains the default. They stripped grains of nutrients, added synthetic vitamins, and called it health food. The result? A nation convinced that starting the day with a bowl of sugar-laden cereal was responsible. The grain industry didn't just win a spot on the pyramid, they built it, crowned themselves king, and sold us tickets to the coronation. This wasn't about nutrition, it was about creating a dietary paradigm that made grains seem essential. Bread became the staff of life, pasta a source of complex carbs for energy. The health consequences, rising rates of metabolic disease, were ignored. The audacity is staggering. Surplus crops became the cornerstone of national dietary policy, fueling a marketing machine that shaped our perception of food. So next time you see a cereal commercial promising energy, remember, it's powering a century-old marketing machine, not your health. The reign of grains wasn't earned by merit, it was bought, and its legacy still shapes our diets today. To make all those grains palatable, you need sugar. But by the 1960s, scientists suspected sugar was fueling heart disease. The sugar industry responded by paying Harvard scientists to downplay sugar's risks and blame saturated fat instead. Their industry-funded review shaped dietary policy for decades, making fat the villain and sugar the innocent bystander. Suddenly, grocery aisles filled with low-fat products, cookies, yogurt, salad dressing, all loaded with extra sugar to replace lost flavor. The irony? In trying to avoid fat, we ate more sugar than ever, fueling obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. The sugar industry's cover-up was spectacularly successful. Scientists who questioned sugar were dismissed as cranks. The fat is bad narrative became dogma, allowing sugar to hide in plain sight. Internal documents later revealed the sugar industry's deliberate strategy: fund research, pay experts, and create front groups to protect their profits. They played the public, media, and science community like a fiddle. The result? Decades of flawed advice, rising chronic disease, and a nation counting fat grams while ignoring hidden sugar. We feared butter and eggs, but gave a free pass to soda and sugary cereals. The architects of this deception weren't just selling sugar, they sold a lie that shaped our health for generations. When you see today's epidemics of obesity and diabetes, remember it wasn't just willpower, it was a calculated, profitable deception. With saturated fat demonized, the food industry needed a new, healthy fat. Enter vegetable oils: canola, corn, soybean, cottonseed. These oils weren't traditional foods. Many started as industrial byproducts like cottonseed oil, once considered toxic waste. Chemists learned to hydrogenate these oils, turning them into solids like Crisco. Procter & Gamble marketed Crisco as a modern, pure alternative to lard. They played on fat phobia, pushing industrial fats into every kitchen. Soon, lard was out, Crisco was in. Other seed oils followed: corn, soybean, canola, all requiring heavy industrial processing and chemical solvents. These oils were marketed as heart-healthy, backed by flawed science like Ansel Keys' cherry-picked 7 countries study. The narrative: animal fats are bad, industrial seed oils are good. Simple, profitable, and wrong. We swapped traditional fats for highly processed oils, flooding our diets with omega-6 fatty acids and creating chronic inflammation. The American Heart Association's endorsement, funded in part by oil producers, sealed the deal. We traded real food for lab inventions, all based on shaky science and aggressive marketing. Next time you see heart-healthy vegetable oil, remember, it's an industrial product, not a health food. The real villain wasn't butter. It was the campaign that convinced us to replace it with hydrogenated waste. You might think your Thanksgiving dinner is sacred tradition, but the turkey's place at the center of the table is a modern, commercial invention. Originally, pilgrims ate goose, duck, or even swan. Turkey's rise came from mid-20th century overproduction and clever marketing. The turkey industry tied their product to Thanksgiving using ads, the Norman Rockwell image, and even the presidential turkey pardon. It worked. Turkey became synonymous with Thanksgiving. The rest of the table? Green bean casserole was invented by Campbell's to sell soup. Libby's pumpkin pie recipe came from a can label. Jell-O salads were pure marketing. These aren't ancient traditions. They're corporate recipes designed to move product. The holiday table feels like home, but it's also a showcase for some of the most successful marketing campaigns in history. This strategy extends to other holidays: Hershey's Kisses for Valentine's, Cadbury eggs for Easter, candy canes for Christmas. The overproduction of turkeys even changed the bird itself. Today's supermarket turkey is bred for size, not nature. So when you sit down to your holiday meal, remember, you're not just eating tradition, you're consuming a carefully constructed commercial. Our diet's foundation was built on surplus grains, sugar got a free pass, and even our traditions were commercialized. The result? A food environment dominated by ultra-processed foods, nearly 60% of American calories. These aren't just processed foods, they're industrial formulations. Frozen pizzas, packaged snacks, sugary drinks, made from cheap commodity crops, sugar, and seed oils. The goal isn't nutrition, it's profit, achieved through hyperpalatability. Food scientists engineer the perfect bliss point of salt, sugar, and fat to make foods neurologically irresistible. Packaging, colors, even the crinkle of a bag are designed to trigger cravings. This isn't cooking, it's neuroengineering. That's why you can eat a whole bag of chips but feel full after a baked potato. Ultra-processed foods are addictive by design. They're sold with empty promises, fortified with vitamins, but stripped of real nutrition. The result, we're overfed but undernourished, filling our stomachs while starving our cells. These foods are cheap, convenient, and everywhere, especially in low-income neighborhoods. This isn't a failure of willpower, it's a system designed for profit, not health. Where does this lead? To a disturbing truth? Your sickness is more profitable than your health. The ultra-processed food industry creates chronic illness, fueling a massive market for weight loss products and pharmaceuticals. Diet plans, supplements, and drugs are sold as solutions to problems the food industry created. When diets fail and diseases set in, the pharmaceutical industry steps in with lifelong medications. These drugs manage symptoms, not causes, creating lifelong customers. The food company profits, the drug company profits, and you're trapped in a cycle of consumption and treatment. The medical system is geared toward treatment, not prevention. Wellness isn't profitable. Real health advice, eat real food, mostly plants, not too much, can't be patented or marketed. The system subsidizes crops that make us sick, then profits from treating that sickness. Breaking the cycle requires more than willpower. It means recognizing the forces at play. They want you to be a lifelong, manageable patient, not a healthy, independent person. The most radical act today? Get healthy. Learn to cook. Reject the products and pills. Step off the conveyor belt. You were never meant to know any of this. The system was designed to be invisible. You were meant to follow the pyramid, trust the labels, and never question why. But now you know. The grain surplus, the sugar cover-up, the manufactured traditions, the engineered cravings. The curtain has been pulled back. The knowledge is yours. Will you keep eating the lie, or will you finally start feeding yourself the truth? The choice is yours.